Shocking truth. 59-year-old woman's deadly transformation to please 28-year-old husband. What happened next? The night air was thick with tension as Clara Hastings stood before the mirror, the reflection staring back at her felt foreign. She was 59, yet in her heart, she was trying to shake off a lifetime of expectations. Her hands trembled as she brushed on the latest shade of crimson lipstick, each stroke a reminder of the drastic changes she was prepared to undertake. Legends of her husband's youthful allure lingered around her like a haunting melody, and she was ready to rewrite her own story. But at what cost? It began innocently enough, a jog through the neighborhood, a new gym membership, and the smoothies that transformed her kitchen into a kaleidoscope of vibrant greens. Friends watched her with a mix of concern and intrigue. Little did they know, the whispers only fueled her ambition. The daily reassuring nod from her 28-year-old husband, Luke, was a drug she couldn't kick. She craved his approval as much as she craved the fleeting feeling of youth. But with each diet and evening spent in the gym, the shadows of self-doubt grew heavier. Late one night in the kitchen, the knife glinted under the harsh light as Clara chopped vegetables, a stark contrast to the swirling chaos settling in the pit of her stomach. Crazy thoughts crept in. Had she made enough sacrifices? Would her sacrifices nullify the gulf of years between them? The clock ticked away the seconds like a cruel countdown, a reminder that her transformation wasn't just about weight. This was life or death in the realm of love, an adrenaline rush that left her gasping. But Clara's greatest gamble was yet to be revealed. As she stepped into her favorite dress, the one she used to wear with confidence, it now clung awkwardly to her body, tugging at insecurities unleashed by the reflection she no longer recognized. Friends began to murmur, some with concern, others with envy. Clara's changing again, they whispered behind her back. The anticipation of tension was almost unbearable. She could feel it tightening around her chest. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The days blurred into a frantic routine as the real dangers of her transformation loomed ever closer. Clara's bedroom became her sanctuary and prison, filled with promise and dread all at once. Just as she thought she had found her stride, a notification pinged on her phone. A message from Luke. Her heart raced. Had he noticed the late nights spent on her transformation? She took a breath, the lump in her throat tightening as she read his words. Can't wait to show you off at the party this weekend. But there was no joy in that rush. Clara felt something dark unfurling in her gut. What was he expecting? What had she truly become in this pursuit of approval? As anxiety washed over her, she felt the void gaping wide, signaling that her choices might have pushed her too far, but a piece of her refused to face the music. What was the next step in this game of self-deception? Clara's face paled as fresh doubts flooded her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was teetering on a knife edge between love and insanity. This was it. The breaking point loomed large, and Clara struggled in silence. With trembling hands, she reached for her phone again. The next decision could change everything, but would it save her or seal her fate? Clara's fingers brushed against the smooth glass of her phone as she hesitated, teetering on the edge of revelation. The screen illuminated her face like a spotlight, exposing the sweat glistening on her brow and the worry etched deep into her features. A million thoughts raced through her mind, but only one question echoed louder than the rest. What if Luke really didn't want her anymore? The fear settled like a heavy weight in her chest, squeezing tighter with each passing second. Did he truly love her for who she was? Or was it just a facade and alluring cover for something far more sinister? The night wore on, shadows creeping across the room as uncertainty wrapped around her like a shroud. With trembling hands, Clara typed a reply. "I'll be ready." The words tasted bitter, leaving her feeling hollow. The message sent, but with no accompanying sense of relief. Instead, A chill rushed down her spine, as if a part of her, the fearful and paranoid part, wondered what would happen if she met his expectation head-on. The pit in her stomach deepened as images of her friends' whispers invaded her thoughts. What were they saying about her now? The party rolled in like a storm cloud. The fragrant aroma of rich hors d'oeuvres mingled with laughter and music as Clara stepped out of her car. The air buzzed with excitement, yet she felt an icy chill brush against her skin. The venue sparkled with twinkling fairy lights, but all she could see was her reflection, warped in the glossy sheen of the entrance doors. Was this what transformation felt like? An outer glow that felt more like a mask than liberation. As she entered, eyes turned toward her, and a hush fell over the crowd. "Clara!" friends exclaimed, but there was a bite in their voices that sent her heart racing. Their expressions flickered between surprise and critique. Luke was already mingling the life of the party with his youthful charisma, while Clara's heart galloped in her chest. She felt a heavy weight pulling her down. Each smile directed her way, feeling like an accusation. "Look at you." Sandra, a longtime friend, greeted Clara with a forced grin, her tone dripping with envy. "You look different." Different. The word echoed in Clara's mind like a taunt. Was it a compliment, or an attempt to box her into a caricature of her past self? Luke found her then, striding through the crowd with that bright smile that made her heart flutter. His presence was intoxicating, but as he walked over, she felt the tension in her shoulders tighten. "Wow," he said, his eyes gleaming with an appreciation that flickered before dimming. "You look amazing, babe." An uncomfortable warmth spread through her. Did his gaze soften out of love or judgment? Clara couldn't bear to find out. As the night wore on, Clara clutched her drink tightly, scanning the crowd, feeling like an outsider in a world she once belonged to. Secrets seemed to ripple through conversations, and laughter felt so distant. A sudden thought hit her hard. What if Luke was just waiting for the moment to abandon her for someone younger, someone who hadn't gone through the turmoil of transformation? What's wrong? His voice broke through her spiraling thoughts, concern etched across his face. Her breath caught in her throat as she searched for an answer, any answer that wouldn't expose her vulnerabilities. But as she looked into his eyes, she saw them clouding over with confusion and something darker, the shadow of doubt. Was it over before it had even begun? As she opened her mouth to respond, a shout erupted from across the room, tearing through the ambience like a knife. "Hey, look who just walked in." Clara turned, heart thudding hard against her ribs, and gasped as a beautiful young woman, radiating confidence, stepped through the door, effortlessly drawing the attention of everyone around. Clara felt as if the ground had shifted beneath her. All of her fears were about to come crashing down, followed by the realization that her entire world could be flipped upside down in an instant. Who was this woman, and how would Luke react? Had Clara's transformation truly prepared her for this shocking encounter? The evening twisted beneath her, and she was left reeling, caught between desperation and intrigue. What was about to unfold at this party would change everything. But would it be for the better or the worse? Clara's heart raced, the drumbeat echoing in her ears as she took in the striking figure striding through the doorway. The new woman was tall and athletic, with a luscious mane of hair cascading perfectly down her shoulders. Her laughter rang out clear and bright, shattering the tension in Clara's chest. It felt cruel, almost like a taunt rather than a cheerful greeting. "What are you doing here?" Clara whispered under her breath, a rush of urgency flooding her veins. "Is that Luke's?" voice trailed off, eyes wide as he broke away from the crowd and moved toward the newcomer, an excitement crackling in his presence. Clara's hands tightened around her glass, knuckles turning white. She felt like a spectator in her own life, the world around her fading as she concentrated on the interaction unfolding before her. "Jess!" Luke exclaimed, pulling the woman into a warm embrace. "I wasn't expecting to see you." Clara felt the smooth surface of the glass slip slightly in her fingers. "Jess? Who was Jess?" For a second, her mind blinked, her thoughts caught in a web of context she couldn't grasp. "Luke, I heard about your big night. Sorry for crashing the party." Jess's voice swirled around Clara like a whirlpool, and she was sure she could taste the sweetness of condescension in it. The words hung heavy in the air, and Clara fought for breath, her throat tightening. She swallowed, trying to match the intensity of the situation that was tearing her apart. "Clara, come meet Jess." Luke beckoned, gesturing her forward. His enthusiasm cracked against the fragile veneer of her composure, and she felt the urge to shrink back. But she couldn't. Not now. With hesitation heavy in her steps, Clara stepped closer, forcing a smile that felt like an effort too great for her to muster. As she approached, Jess turned, her gaze sweeping over Clara with a curious tilt of her head. "Hey there. Luke talks about you all the time." That smile, so vibrant and full of life, sent a bolt of insecurity through Clara. The casual way Jess spoke felt like an intrusion into her life, as if she were reclaiming territory that Clara thought was secured. "Clara," she managed, her voice a mere whisper against the din of the party. "Nice to finally meet you. I've heard so much," Jess chirped, her tone light, but laced with an edge that Clara couldn't ignore. Did she really mean that? Or was it a barb, a silent dagger aimed at Clara's heart? Luke's hands rested on Clara's shoulders, grounding her even as uncertainty swelled. He seemed oblivious to the tension thickening between the two women. "Clara's looking great, right? She's really changed a lot lately." Clara felt the flush rise to her cheeks. Was this praise or a warning? Every compliment seemed insincere, echoing off the walls around her. Jess's smile didn't falter, but Clara caught the glimmer in her eyes of satisfaction, maybe, at the discomfort she was causing. "I love your style. So fresh and bold," Jess complimented, but the irony dripped from her words, leaving a sour taste on Clara's tongue. "Thanks," Clara replied slowly, feeling the instinctive need to protect herself rise within her. Jess radiated confidence, and Clara couldn't help but wonder how much of it was genuine and how much was a facade. Just then, Clara's phone buzzed in her pocket, pulling her attention away from the encounter. She fished it out, squinting at the message. It was from Sandra. "You're fine. Just watch yourself. This could get messy." Clara's heart sank further. What did Sandra know that she didn't? Before she could respond to the message, a loud laugh from Jess broke the moment, and Clara's gaze snapped back to the scene unfolding before her. Luke and Jess were deep in conversation, and in that moment, Clara felt invisible. Everything began to blur. Her insecurity turned into a storm inside her, an overwhelming mixture of fear and rage. Why couldn't she shake the feeling that this battle wasn't just about her and Jess? It was an all-out war against her own choices, against the shadows of her past self clawing for attention. Tension simmered in the air, thick enough to slice. Would she be able to face this head-on? And more importantly, what role was Jess truly meant to play in Luke's life and in Clara's? The room buzzed louder as she stood frozen, the beating of her heart drowning out the music, leaving her trapped in a dizzying silence. A moment of clarity cut through the chaos. Clara had a choice to make, and she needed to decide quickly if she would succumb to doubt or fight for the love she believed she deserved. But as she locked eyes with Luke, eager and unaware, the question lingered. Was she ready to unveil her true self before everything crumbled? With everything at stake, Clara drew a deep breath, steeling herself for what might come next. And deep down, an anxious whisper urged her toward the unexpected. Clara's mind raced, her heart pounding against her ribcage with relentless urgency. She felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff, the ground crumbling beneath her. Jess, radiant and seemingly effortless, was stealing the spotlight, and Clara fought the overwhelming urge to flee the room. Luke's laughter filled the air, a sound that used to be her anchor, but now felt so foreign and out of reach. She could see the way Jess leaned closer, whispering conspiratorial secrets into Luke's ear, their chemistry crackling like a live wire. Anger bubbled within her, a fiery surge that demanded to be let out. "Clara, are you okay?" Luke's voice sliced through her thoughts, pulling her back to reality. "Yeah, of course," she lied, her voice barely above a murmur. The uncertainty in her smile felt like an apology to herself. "I was just saying," Luke continued, turning slightly, "Jess has been a huge support for me with all the changes happening at work. Isn't that awesome?" He beamed, his eyes shining with admiration and something deeper, something that felt dangerously close to admiration for Jess, too. Clara clenched her fists. Changes at work? How could he be so oblivious? Her gaze darted to Jess, whose eyes sparkled with a mischief that sent shivers down Clara's spine. Everything about the other woman felt like a challenge, a bizarre game where Clara was losing before she even started. "Yeah, that's great," Clara said, forcing her voice to sound enthused. "It sounds like you two have a lot to talk about." The words barely left her lips when a sharp laugh erupted from Jess. It was loud, confident, a statement that this was her territory now, and Clara was merely a visitor. "Right? I'm just trying to help Luke navigate all these changes," Jess replied, brushing a lock of hair behind her ear, her movements fluid and deliberate. "You know how workplace drama can be, Clara. It can really drain someone." "Yeah, it can." Clara's throat tightened around the unspoken words. Drama? This wasn't just drama. It felt like a war zone, with Luke unknowingly caught in the middle. Clara felt the atmosphere thickening as if an electric charge filled the room. She had to take control. She could no longer hide in the shadows of self-doubt. "Actually, I've been working on some things myself," Clara interjected, proud of the slight tremor of defiance in her voice. "I'm developing my skills in graphic design." Who knew capturing ideas visually could be so empowering? "Wow, that sounds interesting," Luke said, genuinely intrigued. But Jess's smirk grew wider, a tiger licking its lips in anticipation. "Graphic design, how quaint," Jess said, tilting her head as if sizing Clara up. "But can you handle the stress of being in a creative field? It can be challenging, you know." The weight of Jess's words slammed into Clara. Why was this confrontation becoming a test of worthiness? Jess was clearly trying to undermine her, peeling back the layers of her confidence like fragile paint off a canvas. Clara's heart raced. In this moment, she could feel Sandra's warning echoing through her mind. She took a breath and steadied herself. This was not just about Jess's taunts. It was about her stepping into the light. "Actually," Clara started, her voice gaining strength, "I thrive under pressure." She could feel the electricity shift in the room as if she had flipped a switch. "It's what fuels my creativity." Jess's smile faltered for just a second, and it was enough to spark Clara's hope. But before she could relish in her small victory, the door swung open with a jarring bang, and the crowd split like the Red Sea, murmurs sinking into an uncomfortable hush. The man leaned against the doorway, eyes scanning the room until they locked onto Clara with piercing intensity. There was something about him, a familiarity mixed with an unsettling edge that sent tremors through her. "Clara," he called out, his voice smooth and poisonous, "I've been looking for you." Every head turned, and the air shifted dramatically. The party that had once felt like a battlefield now held a new, more dangerous tension. Clara's stomach dropped. Who was he? And why did he look as if he knew her intimately? A chill crept down her spine, making the atmosphere even heavier. "Who is that?" Jess whispered to Luke, her facade cracking slightly. Clara felt eyes darting back to her, the weight of judgment heavy as she stood, frozen. A torrent of fear surged within her. What did this man want? And why now, when her life was on the brink of unraveling? The moment stretched into eternity, and Clara felt the walls closing in. It was as if the universe had decided her moment of bravery was up for dismissal. "Is this going to get messy?" she thought in panic, as the next question lingered in the air, waiting to be answered. Clara's heart thundered in her chest, drowning out the muffled conversations that echoed through the room like distant gunfire. The man's presence was magnetic, drawing the attention of every partygoer toward her. Luke's brows knitted into confusion, and Jess's amusement twisted into something akin to fear. "Clara?" the man said again, stepping forward, his voice smooth yet laced with an undercurrent that sent tremors through her resolve. "We need to talk. Now." Her pulse raced as if urging her to flee, but her legs felt as heavy as lead. The weight of his gaze pinned her in place, a mix of dread and a strange familiarity swirling within her. His eyes were dark, like storm clouds, ominous yet strangely inviting. "Who are you?" Clara managed to stammer, her throat dry and her palms clammy. The question echoed louder than the stares surrounding her, pulling her deeper into the spotlight. That he paused, almost savoring the moment. "You know who I am, Clara. You just don't want to remember." A cold wave washed over her, and Clara's mind raced, trying to grasp the threads of her memory that danced just beyond her reach. "No, I don't. Get away from me," she insisted, the fight returning to her voice. though the fear lodged in her throat made it shaky. Luke stepped in, attempting to break the tension, his protective instincts kicking in. "Hey, man, this is a private party. You can't just barge in here. Let her go." There was her safe harbor, her anchor. But as she looked at Luke, standing just a breath away, his features etched with concern, Clara realized she was still adrift in a tempest. "Luke, don't," she started, but the stranger interrupted her, raising a hand with a type of authority that demanded silence. "Listen to me, Luke. This is about Clara," he said, letting the words hang in the air like a bomb about to detonate. "I'm here because it's time she faces the truth. Not just about me, but about her past." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Jess leaned closer to Luke, her expression shifting from amusement to blatant curiosity. Clara felt the scrutiny burning into her like a hot brand. What kind of truth? Clara felt the tremor in her own voice, the unease clawing at her stomach. "You don't know anything about me." "Oh, but I do." His smirk betrayed a confidence she suddenly found terrifying. "You just buried it, didn't you? The secrets you think no one knows. The things you did, for survival." Clara blinked, feeling the air thickening as memories she didn't want to confront edged back into view, shadows lurking just outside her consciousness. She had thought they were locked away for good, like a diary hidden deep in the attic. "Enough," she snapped, her voice shaking with a mix of fear and anger. "You're scaring everyone. Just leave me alone." But he took another step closer, his expression darkening. "I'm not here to scare you, Clara. I'm here to save you from yourself." Luke was still holding his ground, eyes darting back and forth between the two of them, trying to gauge the situation. "Clara, just tell me what's going on." "I don't know," she admitted, glancing between him and the intruder. "I don't know who he is." "Think, Clara. You'll remember. We were the same. We fought the same battles," he urged, his voice low, the intensity raising the hairs on her arms. "Don't you want to know why I found you?" The room was silent now, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Clara's chest tightened, each inhale growing more labored as the implications of his words sank in. What did he mean they fought the same battles? What past was he alluding to? "Clara," Luke whispered, concern etched in his features, but the man's next words silenced everything, capturing her attention completely. "The truth about your father, it's time you found out." In that moment, the ground beneath her crumbled. Blackness swirled at the edges of her vision. Her world spiraled into chaos as she cornered the fading light of sanity. Before she could respond, darkness consumed her thoughts. How could she face a truth that may shatter everything she once believed? Clara braced herself for whatever came next. The man was not just a blast from her past. He was a harbinger of a storm she had avoided for too long. What awaited her in the shadows? She only hoped she could muster enough courage to confront it, or be swept away by the tides of her own buried secrets. The thought echoed in her mind as she stood on the precipice. Just how deep did her past run, and would it drown her? Clara's breath came in short gasps as the world around her dimmed. The crowd faded into ghostly forms, their faces twisted with apprehension and curiosity. The echo of the man's words hung heavy in the air, wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. This was it, the truth. The connection she felt to him, the shadows from her past, all seemed to pulse together amid the cacophony of fluttering hearts and hushed whispers. "Clara." Luke's worried voice cut through her haze, firm yet laced with urgency. She turned to him, her heart a jumble of emotions. What if the man was right? What if there was a twisted family secret lurking just beneath the surface? The thought twisted in her gut, a dark serpent ready to strike. "I can't," she muttered, shaking her head. The memories were raw, like gouged wounds that refused to heal. "I can't do this." The man stepped forward again, his intensity unwavering. "Yes, you can. You must. You're closer to the truth than you think." His voice was almost alluring, weaving in and out of her fear like a dangerous melody. "I know it's hard, but hiding won't save you. You deserve to be free from the shackles of your past." "Shackles?" Clara's voice trembled, alarm flaring within her. Did he really know her? "What do you even know about me?" "More than you'd like. You fought to survive, Clara. Just like me. We both lived with shadows and lies." He extended a hand, palm up, as if offering her something more than just a choice, offering her a path back to the truth that had tormented her for so long. The crowd kept a safe distance, tension thick in the air, holding their breaths as if any movement could shatter the fragile silence. Jess stood beside Luke, eyes wide, torn between concern for Clara and her hunger for the truth. "Clara, I swear I won't let anything happen to you," Luke reassured, grounding her in the chaos. "But you have to trust me. Just say the word." This was it. Every heart in the room beat in anticipation, each moment stretching like a fragile thread. Clara looked from the strange man, who seemed to know more about her than she dared admit, to Luke's unwavering blue eyes, filled with determination. "Do you really believe that?" she whispered, the desperation creeping in. "That I deserve to know?" "You do," he insisted. "Every second of denial has cost you. Walk into the light, Clara. Face this together." She swallowed hard, a lump the size of a fist constricting her throat. But that spark of defiance within her flickered as she considered her options. Could she really confront the remnants of her childhood, the very foundation upon which her life was built? A sudden realization crashed through her. "No, I can't," she gasped, stepping back, both men reaching out as if to catch her should she fall. The man's eyes narrowed, his expression shifting, revealing a flash of frustration, maybe even fear. "You're afraid of the truth. But I'm not your enemy. I'm trying to help." Dark clouds rolled in her mind, obscuring her thoughts with panic. Her heart raced, pounding in her ears as flashes of memories burst forth like fireworks, each explosion urging her onward. But the more she remembered, the more fragmented her sense of self became. She felt as if she were teetering on the edge of a cliff, the churning sea below calling her home. "You can face this." That whisper, a mantra in the chaos, came from Luke. But was she ready to leap into the unknown? "We can do this together." Clara's gaze flickered back to the man standing before her. "Why now?" This question slipped past her lips, heavy with skepticism and curiosity. "Why bring this all back now?" "Because time is running out," he replied, his voice low but urgent. "And there's more at stake than just your past. It's bigger than both of us." She felt the ground tremble beneath her, the weight of something dark and powerful stirring in the depths of her mind. "What do you mean?" The dread coiled around her chest like a noose, squeezing tighter with each second. "You'll understand soon enough, Clara." His voice dropped, turning ominous. "But once you know, there's no turning back." In that moment, she stood at the crossroads between knowing and oblivion. Would she embrace the truth, or would she choose to remain forever lost in the fog? Unsure of her next step, Clara felt the storm within her brew. The decision loomed over her, shrouded in uncertainty, but before she could choose, a sudden crash echoed from behind her. The door flew open, and a figure stalked into the room, eyes blazing with anger. "Stop, this ends now." What had she inadvertently unleashed? Clara locked eyes with Luke, feeling the gravity of her choice pulse in the air. She needed to decide, and fast. Would the truth bring her salvation or destruction? Before she could ponder further, the new arrival stepped forward, and the atmosphere crackled with energy. "Get ready, Clara. Everything is about to change." Clara's heart raced as the figure approached, a storm of emotions swirling within her. The newcomer's presence split the tension in the room like a knife slicing through silk. Her eyes widened as recognition settled in, the sharp sting of familiarity cutting through her fear. "Isabel," she breathed, barely able to keep herself steady. The last time she'd seen her sister, the air had been thick with accusations and unspoken words that haunted their family. "Stay away from him," Isabel shouted, her voice marred with desperate urgency. She pointed directly at the man who had brought the shadows crashing down around them. "He's dangerous, Clara. You don't understand, he's not who he says he is." The crowd surged forward, drawn in by the commotion. Whispers rippled through the spectators, each person leaning in to catch a glimpse of what unfurled before them. Clara felt lightheaded, as if the walls were closing in on her, closing off her escape. "Isabel, please," Clara urged, her voice strained. "You don't know what you deserve?" Isabel interrupted, her eyes burning with fierce protectiveness. "You think this is about you? You don't understand the forces at play here." For a moment, Clara was torn, her sister's words wrapping around her like an anchor. Yet the man, this enigma in the room, stood tall, unflinching in the face of the familial wrath. "Isabel," he said, his tone calm, unsettlingly so. You're only making this harder for her. Harder for her? Isabel shot back, stepping closer, her shoulders squared. You think this is about your sick game? Everyone here can feel it this isn't just Clara's story. It's hers as well. Clara's mind spun. The walls of her reality felt like they were collapsing. The pendulum of emotion swung between her sister's protective rage and the man's unsettling confidence. Confused, she tried to process it all. What are you talking about? Mom and Dad kept secrets, Clara. Big ones. Ones that could change everything you've ever known. With each word, Clara's heart felt heavier, each thud resonating painfully in her chest. All those years, suppressing the memories, the flickers of shadows in her childhood home that felt too close to the truth. What do you mean? Isabel took a deep breath, visibly steeling herself. You and I have been living a lie, Clara. And the truth is buried beneath the surface. That man, he knows exactly what it is. Enough. The man stepped forward, breaking the tension yet again, his voice threading through the chaos. You're fueling her fear, and this isn't about you. It's about Clara's past. Clara deserves the truth. Isabel shouted, her voice echoing in the charged air. The crowd remained frozen, caught in a mix of horror and fascination, asking questions with their eyes that Clara didn't have answers for. It's not just about Clara's past, the man emphasized, locking eyes with Clara, his voice dropping to a chilling whisper. It's about her future and the secrets we all share. And we don't have much time. A tremor of dread rippled through her. She could practically taste the implications of his words. What are you saying? She pressed, a fisted knot clenching in her gut. But before she could delve deeper, Isabel's expression shifted from anger to pleading desperation. Clara, you need to trust me. This isn't just about facing the past. It's about saving yourself from falling deeper into a trap. Stop it, Clara shouted, overwhelmed. I can't handle this. Suddenly, the air transformed. It thickened with tension, and Clara glimpsed the cracks in her reality. The truth was like a virus, waiting to spread through the fragile walls she had built around her. Remember that night, Clara? Isabel pressed, her voice breaking the stillness around them. It's all connected. The night our lives changed forever. I don't, Clara stammered, fighting against the surge of memories trying to spill forth. Clara, please. Isabel's voice reached a fever pitch, piercing through. The truth is out there. Confront it. Face it before it consumes you. A deafening silence followed, everyone holding their breath. Clara felt the walls written with secrets closing in, choking her breath. Then, with bold clarity, the man stepped closer, leaning in as if to protect her from the world outside. It's time, Clara. Will you take the leap, or will you let fear keep you shackled? Her heart pounded erratically, a violent drumbeat echoing through her limbs. This was it, the moment she had dreaded and desired. Would she dare plunge into the depths of her own soul to confront what awaited her? As the shadows of her past and present entwined, a flicker of resolve ignited within her. But just as it did, a piercing scream shattered the silence like glass, echoing off the walls. Clara, look out. What had she started? Clara's instincts kicked in. She whipped around just in time to see a figure lunging from the shadows, arms outstretched. Panic washed over her like a tidal wave, and she stumbled backward, narrowly avoiding a collision. The figure, a man shrouded in darkness, face obscured, was a blur of energy, the crowd gasping collectively as chaos erupted. Clara, the man's voice thundered through the noise, grounding her in the turmoil. Get to safety. Isabel surged forward, pushing Clara away from the danger. Run. Now. Her sister's command boomed above the roar, infused with a desperate urgency. Clara hesitated, caught between her sister's urging and the man's fierce stare. Another scream erupted. It wasn't just the crowd now. It echoed from somewhere deep within Clara, clawing at her throat. The world spun as she turned to find the man, the one with all the secrets, now standing tall, unyielding, a protective barrier against the unseen threat. Stay back, he shouted, shoving his body in front of Clara, shielding her from the approaching darkness. The crowd fell back, a wave of trepidation rolling through them, but curiosity kept many rooted in place, eyes wide. Who are you? Clara gasped, confusion clashing with fear. What do you know? His jaw tightened, but the fire in his eyes spoke volumes. I'll explain later. Just trust me. Trust? It felt like an alien concept in that moment. Everything around her was unraveling. Her heart pounded like a hammer against a wall, the cacophony fading to a dull thrum as adrenaline coursed through her veins. The man turned to Isabel. "We're running out of time. We have to end this now." "What do you mean?" Isabel spat, her face pale but resolute. "This was your plan?" "It's not a plan, it's survival." Shouts bled into the charged air, people clamoring for answers, faces alight with fear and fascination. Clara glanced back toward the looming figure, his stance unwavering like a lighthouse in a storm. There was something about his presence that made her feel both safe and terrified. "Clara." Isabel's voice broke the haze, snapping her back. "Please, we need to leave." The urgency in her sister's tone ignited a fire under Clara's feet. With a courageous push, she took a step closer to the man. "Who sent you?" she demanded, defiance rising within her that he met her gaze, his eyes dark pools of determination. "Trust me, Clara. There's a reason they're coming after you. The same reason your family has kept you safe for so long. You're not just anyone. You're part of something bigger." "What are you talking about?" she pressed, frantic yet desperate for clarity. "Later," he snarled, eyes darting to the swirling shadows that draped the room. "The moment we don't understand is here. They won't stop until they find you." "Find me?" Clara echoed, her world spinning anew. She felt dizzy, the air thickening as echoes of the past and future blended. A loud crack sliced through the air, a chair toppled over, a scream tore from a throat. The crowd recoiled, a living organism of panic and dread. It was chaos incarnate. The man's hand shot out, grabbing Clara's wrist. "We have to move." His grip was firm, grounding, even as the walls of her mind threatened to fall away. As she turned to run alongside him, the room blurred. With each frantic step, shadows swirled around them, and Clara realized her choice was not just to run. It was to confront whatever reality awaited her. Suddenly, a flash of light ignited at the far end of the room, illuminating the face of another shadowy figure. "Clara, you can't escape your fate." The figure bellowed, words laced with venom. "Fate," she shouted, panic clawing at her throat. "Your past is coming back for you." The figure stated, outstretched arms reaching toward her like tendrils of darkness, piercing the crowd's collective state of shock. The man yanked Clara closer, their bodies a shield against the chaos unraveling before them. "We have to face it, but only together." Would she have the strength to confront the truth that loomed over them like a specter? The uncertainty gripped her heart like a vice as they dashed toward the exit, shadows trailing dangerously close behind. As they burst through the threshold, fleeing into the night, Clara heard the chilling laughter trailing from the darkness, echoing the foreboding words from moments before. "You can't run from what's inside." The darkness was coming for her, and just when Clara thought she'd escaped, she realized she was only just beginning to uncover what truly lay ahead. The night air hit Clara like a slap to the face as they leaped into the open street. The buzz of the crowd faded behind them, replaced by the steady pulse of her pounding heart. She turned to the man, a mix of fear and resolve etched across her features. "What now?" she gasped, breathless, not quite comprehending how they just escaped the chaos. The world beyond the building felt vast and full of uncertain shadows, echoing the turmoil inside her. "We can't stop," he urged, tugging her forward. "We need to get somewhere safe. Now." "Who are you?" Clara pressed, trying to peel away the layers of urgency cloaked in mystery. "Why are they after me?" "Later," he repeated, his voice more intense than before, eyes scanning the dark streets. "I promise you will understand, but we have to move. They are not far behind." As they ran, Clara caught snippets of conversations around her, people still buzzing with fear and speculation. The occasional scream echoed through the night, an unwanted reminder of the terror they had fled. Shadows crept along the edges of her vision, like whispers lurking just out of sight. The man led her through a narrow alley, the walls pressing in like a dark embrace. He paused, glancing over his shoulder. "Listen, Clara," he said, lowering his voice. "What is happening is bigger than you realize. Your family. There's a reason they kept you hidden." "I don't understand," she shouted, frustration bubbling over. "Why me?" "Because you're special," he said, an edge of desperation creeping into his tone. "But this isn't the time for details. All that matters is that we get away before they find us. Who are they? She hissed, her throat tightening with unease. Suddenly, a noise split the air, a scuffle, shouts from the street. The man pressed her against the cool stone wall of the alley, their bodies pressed tightly together, as if their closeness could offer protection from the encroaching danger. Stay silent, he commanded, eyes fierce and watchful. Clara swallowed hard, barely breathing as footsteps thudded just outside. She could hear voices muffled but urgent. They were close. Check the alleys, someone growled. She can't have gone far. We need her. Now. Clara's heart raced, the gravity of the situation crashing down on her. She felt an icy trickle of fear running down her spine. What do they want from me? Eventually, she managed to murmur. Everything, he replied through clenched teeth. But they want to get it. The footsteps drew closer, and Clara's pulse quickened, each throb in her ears resonating with the fear tightening her chest. The man glanced down at her, a flicker of something softer behind the intensity, but it faded too quickly. Trust me, he whispered again, gripping her arm as if it were the only thing anchoring him to reality. Just then, a voice cut through the night like glass. She's here. Without a second thought, the man dashed deeper into the shadows, pulling Clara behind him. They sprinted through winding corridors of darkness, the world morphing around them. Clara struggled to keep up, her breath hitching in her throat as she fought against panic rising like a storm. Then, quite abruptly, they reached the end of the alley. A wall loomed ahead, casting a looming shadow. Wait, Clara protested, fear clawing anew at her chest. But he didn't stop. His hands found a narrow door set into the bricks, and with a swift shove, he pushed it open. Inside, a dim light flickered to life, illuminating the worn faces of those who huddled together in contemplation. Eyes turned toward them, expectant yet fearful. Who are these people? Clara whispered, trembling. Friends. For now, he replied, ushering Clara through the doorway and closing it behind them. But just before the latch clicked shut, a glance over his shoulder revealed their pursuers closing in the echo of their intent dark as night. What are we going to do? Clara asked, sensing the weight of destiny pressing down on them. The man's eyes gleamed with urgency. We fight. And as he uttered those words, an unsettling anticipation filled the air, heavy with the promise of chaos yet to come. Would standing and fighting uncover the truth she feared, or would it shatter everything she thought she knew? The darkness lingered, eager to reclaim its hold. What awaited them on the other side of that door loomed like a gathering storm, ready to unleash a deluge of revelations. The dim light flickered as the door creaked shut behind them, the muffled noise of the outside world drowning in uncertainty. Clara's heart raced against the backdrop of heavy breathing. She felt the warmth of bodies around her, faces of strangers shadowed in anxiety as they took in the sight of her and the man. What now? She asked, voice strained, her stomach twisting with the mix of fear and adrenaline. The man turned, eyes sharp, resolute. We make a stand. You need to finally know the truth. His intensity was overwhelming yet familiar, acting like grave music echoing in the silence that had fallen. The group around her grew tense, their expressions reflecting Clara's uncertainty. Why now? Clara pressed, crossing her arms tight against her chest, a barrier against the storm of memories. Why do you come back? If they want something, what is it? They want you, Clara. You're a piece in a much larger puzzle, tied to your family's past. His words wrapped around her throat like a noose, each pulsing heartbeat underscoring the fear that stemmed from the revelation. What do you mean? She asked, barely able to breathe. Before he could respond, a rattle of footsteps echoed through the hall outside. Their pursuers were gaining. Whispers filled the room, a mix of concern and dread like a tidal wave threatening to sweep through them. The crowd shifted, and Clara sensed the building tension, everyone waiting for the inevitable storm. Then, the man stepped forward, eyes blazing. This is not a game. They want to manipulate you, to use you. But you have power here. You have to remember who you really are. Clara's heart raced, but also sparked with something she felt in dazed strength. I'll do whatever it takes, she declared, not entirely sure if she believed herself, but knowing she had to appear brave, for herself and the strangers leaning on her for hope. Then face your past, Clara. You must embrace it to fight back. With a sudden surge of resolve, Clara took a step forward. "Okay," she said, her voice gaining volume, conviction replacing fear. "What do I need to do?" The man nodded, a flicker of something like pride in his gaze. "You'll need to tap into your memories. Everything that you've buried. Your family's secrets, they're yours to command." Clara felt the walls of her past tumble around her, memories surfacing like trapped fish breaking through water, ready for the light. "Are you with me?" he asked, and the impatience in his eyes pushed her to take a deep breath, letting the years of doubt wash away. "I am," Clara breathed, and her heart felt lighter with the weight of her acceptance. The murmurs grew louder outside, footsteps solidifying into shouts. The group around Clara straightened, tension morphing into unified energy. "Whatever they kept from me, I'll face it," she declared, her eyes shining with newfound determination. Then, the door exploded open, slamming against the wall, and figures stormed through, dark and menacing, filled with intent. Clara's heart thundered, a fierce symphony of terror and fire. "Get back!" the man shouted, positioning himself before Clara. "This is your moment." Time seemed to halt, every heartbeat stretching into eternity. Clara could see the shadows creeping into the room. With a surge of energy, she stepped forward, no longer afraid. "You want me? Come and get me." Gasps echoed around her as the intruders faltered for just a moment, caught off guard by her sudden confidence. That moment was all she needed. "I am Clara Hastings. I will not let you take me." And as she felt the air crackle with energy, the man by her side opened his arms, inviting the wave of shadows crashing against Clara to meet at the center. The confrontation fizzling with the force of realization that an ethereal light engulfed her, memories swirling in a wild dance, each fragment stitching together her identity, the truth drenching her soul in warmth. "You cannot control me," she shouted, and with her voice, she commanded the shadows to recede. The darkness waned, her power rising as she faced the intruders. No, not just intruders, pieces of her past that sought to reclaim her. Clara smiled, the tension melting away. They were just remnants of fear, and she was a force of nature, unyielding and powerful. The man beside her mirrored her energy, a shared vision igniting as they stepped forward together. "This is not just my fight, it's our fight." The intruders hesitated, confusion coloring their darkened forms as Clara stood proud. The air shimmered, a tangible promise of a new beginning, freedom stitched together from the remnants of her past. "This ends tonight." Clara's voice rang out with authority, echoing through the growing silence. And with that proclamation, Clara Hastings, once hidden in the shadows, emerged into the brightness of her truth, the knowledge of her past, and the liberation in her heart, drawing every eye to witness her rebirth. As the figures darted back, retreating into the shadows, Clara felt the last remnants of fear abandon her, leaving space filled with hope, courage, and a flicker of something new, a journey beginning anew. This wasn't just the end. It was the beginning of a beautiful, empowered story crafted from resilience. The crowd erupted into cheers, and Clara could feel their support lifting her higher. She turned to the man beside her, gratitude flooding her heart. "Thank you for believing in me. You did this, Clara. You made this happen." As she stood tall, surrounded by allies, Clara couldn't help but know it was only the first step of many. Together, they would face whatever might come next. But one truth rang clear in her heart: she had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, and for the first time in her life, Clara Hastings felt entirely free. Now, their path awaited. Yours is the moment to join this journey as it unfolds. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans understand how important it is to keep this community alive.